Hello, my name is Morgan Ingram, and I will be presenting the risk assessment of future park on wood treating site. And our group is Morgan Ingram, Adriana Terrasso, Deirdre Love, and Gustavo Prieto Rodriguez. So I'll start off with a brief history of the site for our future park. So this site opened in 1923 as a wood treating facility with creosote impregnation of wood. In 1970, the site began to use copper arsenate and pentachlorophenol as preservatives. These chemicals dripped into the soil and were disposed of in unlined pits. Plant operations ceased in 1989. Now the site is 100 acres of mixed residential and commercial area. It's currently vacant and it's maintained by commercial mowing. A fourth of the site is covered in pine woods. The depth to groundwater is 6 feet below the surface. There are no on-site wells for the groundwater, but there are also no restrictions put in place against its use. There is a chain link fence that prohibits access. Chemicals identified in the soil include arsenic, chromium, copper, polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, and dioxins. The chemicals identified in the groundwater include benzene and PAHs. So here's a conceptual site model of our site/future park. So as you can see, we have lots of chemicals that could be concerning. We have copper and dioxins and arsenic up here on the land. Under the land and 6 foot below the groundwater, we have chemicals such as BBF, dibenzo, BAA, BKF, BAP, benzene, and indeno. And this groundwater, we assuming, is flowing this way. Here is a pit that I mentioned earlier that they were using to discard the contaminants, and this pit was unlined, so benzene can easily leach through the soil and into this groundwater. In turn, the leaching of the groundwater can leach back up through this soil and up to the land where people are. Up here we have our wind direction. We're going to say the wind is going this way. Go back. Sorry. Wind direction is going this way. We have benzene up in the air, also going this way toward our future playground and park. We also have an anthropogenic wood processing factory. As I mentioned earlier, there are still some industrial buildings that are on the site, and these buildings could have contaminants in them from the wood treating facility that it used to be. So here are our people and our dog. We are assuming that there could be inhalation and dermal exposure. Also, in the case of children, there could be ingestion exposure because of pica, which is the ingestion of soil. Children sometimes consume soil, and they could be exposed through a ingestion of toxins. Okay, so our contaminants of concern. These contaminants were chosen by comparing the maximum levels found at site along with the residential exposure recommendations for the soil and water contaminants. So we identified these by taking a residential amount and looked to see if this number was smaller. If the number was smaller than the maximum amount found at the site, then it was selected as a COPC, or a contaminant of potential concern. We identified these first, and then we proceeded to do calculations in order to identify the chemicals that were actually putting the residents at risk. So we discovered that soil contaminants of potential concern include arsenic, dioxin, benzene, and copper. And then the water contaminants were BBF, BAA, BKF, BAP, dibenzo, indeno, and benzene. Excuse me. Okay, so moving on to the screening levels for contaminants of concern. So our exposure criteria was selected with the intent for future use of the site in mind. We are going to use a park as our future site. We want to make our site into a park, so it made sense to choose children between the age of 3 to 6 years old. The mean body weight was 18.3 pounds, and this was chosen to establish the average contamination from exposure to our COPCs. We decided to focus on this age range, as I said before, because it's going to be a park and a playground, and we are going to assume that adults and elderly people will choose not to eat soil or play in the dirt on their hands and knees like a child would. Also, children are more susceptible to toxins and don't have as strong of an immune system as an adult. So it's important to use this age range as our screening level. So this justifies why we went ahead and used the values of 18.3 pounds for the average size of children. So we're going to go ahead and look at the screening levels of our different toxins of concern. First, we had dioxin. After doing the calculation, these were the totals we had for each chemical. And this is how we decided which areas of the map were dangerous for actual concern. So, as you see in dioxin, for ingestion in the soil, we had 8.56 times 10 to the negative 6. For dermal, we had 1.13 times 10 to the negative 1, and inhalation we had 3.97 times 10 to the negative 2. The total value being 8.56 times 10 to the negative 6. Arsenic in soil, our ingestion was 7.42 times 10 to the negative 1. Dermal, 9.77 times 10 to the negative 3. Inhalation, 3.51 times 10 to the negative 6, for a total value of 7.42 e to the negative 1. Benzoapyrene, our ingestion was 2.02 e to the positive 1, dermal 2.66 e to the positive 5, inhalation 1.93 e to the positive 9, the total value being 2.02 e to the positive 1. Copper in the soil for ingestion was 4.68 times 10 to the negative 4, dermal was 6.15 e to the 0.8, inhalation 1.51 e to the 10, total value being 4.68 e to the positive 4. BAA, ingestion, this is in water, ingestion in the water was 2.85 times 10 to the 5, dermal 1.09, 10 to the 9, inhalation 1.12, 10 to the 1, and our total value for that was 2.85 times 10 to the 5. Moving on, in the water for BKF, ingestion 2.85 e to the 5, dermal 1.09 e to the 9, inhalation 1.12 e to the 11, our total value being 2.85 e to the 5. BBF in water, ingestion was 2.85 e to the 5, dermal was 1.09 e to the 9, inhalation 1.12 e to the 10, total value 2.85 e to the 5. BAP in water, ingestion was 2.85 e to the 5, dermal 3.26 e to the 5, inhalation 1.2 e to the 9, our total value 1.52 times e to the positive 5. Okay. Dibenzo in water, our ingestion was 2.85 e to the 5, dermal 1.09 e to the 9, inhalation 1.12 e to the 9, total value 2.85 times 10 to the 5. Indino in the water, ingestion being 2.85 10 to the 0. Dermal, 1.09 e to the positive 4. Inhalation, 1.80 e to the 4. Total value, 2.85. And benzene in the water. Ingestion, 5.19 e to the 0. Dermal, 1.97 e to the 4. Inhalation, 1.39 e to the 5. Total value is 5.19 e to the positive 0. Okay. Given all of those screening levels that I just mentioned, we created a map that models where these chemicals can be found in a dangerous level. It is clear that most of the areas on the site are contaminated by at least one COPC. Just to give you guys a key for this map, navy blue is where we found arsenic levels, pink is dioxins, and orange is benzoapyrene. As you can see, pretty much this whole map is covered by toxins. Does not make it a very safe place to create a park for children to play in. And here is our water map. This is the only site with contamination. Benzene can be seen here, contaminating based on the June 27th data. Okay, so given all that data, we're going to communicate the risk. So as I mentioned before, based on our mapping plots, it's clear that most of the site is contaminated with at least one and sometimes even more than one chemical or toxin is contaminating the site. Given this, remediation is absolutely necessary before land can be used again. We would remediate through the use of thermal soil, which is when we heat up the soil and it kind of evaporates some of the toxins. Bioremediation, which is where we would place bacteria into the soil that they actually consume like the metals and the toxins, and they die off after the toxins have been consumed. And soil washing, which is just kind of like filtering out the toxins of concern. We would actually recommend changing the plans altogether and halting construction until the remediation take place. There's just too many toxins that are above screening level, and it's widespread throughout the whole map, so there's not even a single area that could be used as a park at the moment. We believe that construction plans should change due to the volatility of these chemicals as well as the susceptibility of children. The immune system of children are too sensitive in order to be safely exposed without health effects. So we recommend putting like a business park here instead, where there would be more adults and less children, and the adults would be inside buildings and protected from the contaminants that are in the soil. In concluding, due to the widespread contamination of the site, we do not recommend any areas to be safer than others. We recommend the remediation and temporary closure of the entirety of the site. And here are our references. Thank you.